2681 and 2025-002683 State versus Daniel Morales. Can I have parties announce?
Rick Fania for the state of Texas. Attorney Bill Simmons for defense.
And are you Mr. Morales?
Yes, Madam Your Honor.
All right, and each of the cause numbers, did you review the documents entitled Application for Deferred Adjudication? With your attorney, did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, in each of the cause numbers, have you received all of the discovery in each case and reviewed it with your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
And each case will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Morales, in each cause number, did you review the true bill of indictment with your attorney? Did you understand it? Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
Yes, Your Honor.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented in each cause number?
No, Your Honor, but the defendant already entered a plea to this. We're here for his PSI today.
Oh,
Yes, Your Honor. Sentencing only, Judge.
okay, thank you. You have me going through all of this.
I'm
You
sorry.
know, stop.
Stopped you soon.
Bashan, in the words of Representative Lewis, speak up, speak out. All right. To both of them. According to the plea bargain agreement, punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 5 years in the prison. There's a $1,500 fine. Cases will run concurrently. State is taking in consideration 2025 CR 002680. There's an affirmative finding of family violence and no contact with the complainant. Are there any witnesses from either side?
None from the state.
We have three, Your Honor, but they'll be brief.
All right, call your first witness.
At this time, I'd like to call Mrs. Morales.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning. Could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Orania Morales.
All right. Defense, you may proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Morales. Thank you for being here. How do you know Daniel Morales, the defendant in this case?
He's my grandson.
And how long have you known him?
Oh, his life.
And in terms of Mr. Morales, just if you could give the court a brief synopsis of his upbringings and some of the challenges that he has had bring him to that he's had in his past.
Well, to begin with, Daniel, I adopted my grandchildren. And I raised
Speak up
them.
just a little bit.
I raised my grandchildren, I adopted them, and I did the best that I could. And they're good kids, they make mistakes, but I'm there with them, and Daniel, because of what they were going through when they were younger, they had no issues. But I did get help for them when they were young, and when they went to school. He didn't get to graduate because he ended up having a child, but other than that, I can say that he tries really hard. When he does work, he's a good worker. He does help out a lot at home. He helps his children with his little boy. And I know that he needs to be there for his son.
Well, you mentioned some of the issues that he had when he was younger, without giving again a whole synopsis, but what are some of the things that you think would stand out? Well, actually, let me back up. Would you say one of the issues is that his mother wasn't there?
Yeah, she wasn't there.
And not to put, because I met her, she's also recovering, is that correct?
Yes.
And but her not being there, what impact do you think that had on her?
It was really hard, the effect that she made.
Okay. And do you think there may have been some anger kind of associated with that?
I think so, yes.
Okay. But overall, you say that but when he does work, he is working. He's working when I first met him.
Yes, when he works, he's a good worker.
And would you say that an issue for him tend to arise when there isn't a lack of structure in his life?
Yes, sometimes, just depending on like who he belonged with.
And following up on what you're saying with the being things, people that he's surrounded by. You had also mentioned that you had adopted both, you also adopted his brother Ignacio, is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there any particular program that Ignacio, you've seen him interact with over the last year that's had a significant impact in his life?
Yes, there's a program through the San Antonio Christian Church that he's been in. He's been doing really good in that program. And I'm hoping that, that Daniel would,
Well, we'll get to that part. Right now, I want to focus on, again, you have another, it's Mr. Ignacio, who would be his older brother.
yes, he's his older brother.
And my understanding, my conversation with Ignacio, he's been in that program about 9 months at this point.
That's correct.
So now I want to take your attention back to about 10 months ago.
Okay.
Would you say that the Ignacio you see today is not the Ignacio that existed 10 months ago?
No, he did a whole turnaround and he is like, he's very good. I mean, he's a good kid.
What,
All the way around.
And like you were saying, they were good kids, but they had some issues that dealt with coming up.
Yes, they
But
did.
but specifically, again, you're saying he's different, because what I'm noticing in
Yes.
your demeanor,
He,
in
yes,
question,
he's very
is that you're
different.
somewhat shocked
Yes, very
Yes.
shocked.
that the transformation,
Yes,
that under the leadership of Pastor Fabian,
Mhm.
at this actual program, or
yes.
that it's had in his life.
Yeah, it had a great effect on his life and he, he's doing really, really good. And I'm very proud of the way that he is doing. He's so different, I mean. I'm still trying to like, wow, because it has done a great impact on him. And it's
And-
done good.
In your conversations with Daniel, have you sensed, but you've sensed a lot of quote unquote remorse, not just for what he's done to others, but also what he's done to you and to the people who care about them. And that, have you sensed that remorse?
Yes, Daniel, when he does, gets upset or whatever, he's very quick to forgive. He's very, right away, he asks for forgiveness, and he's very sorry for whatever reason. But he's he's a very forgiving.
But you'd agree that his program for his life has not worked for him at this stage, or at this point, because he's standing here in an orange jumpsuit.
Yes,
So you'd agree that we need some new program.
yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to say to the judge today?
I would just like to say that, take into consideration and, give him a second chance, and I know that he will do better. They're my only grandchildren, I have great grandchildren too, but Daniel, like I said, he's very forgiving and he's willing, I know that he's willing to do whatever it takes for him to do a turnaround, just like his brothers.
All
I'll
right,
pass it with you.
any questions?
Just a few questions, ma'am. You mentioned that you're Daniel's grandmother, correct?
Yes.
So you adopted him,
Yes,
and was he living with you most of his life?
one of his life, yes. All of his life.
Was he living with you last year?
Yes.
Was he living with you this year?
Yes, he has been staying with me on and off.
How has his behavior been while he's been in the home with you?
His behavior has been, like I said, sometimes he'd get upset, but right away, like I said, he realizes when he does something wrong, so he apologizes. He understands.
So has he shown remorse towards you for any type of anger issues he may have had?
No,
No remorse?
I
Okay.
mean, he's been there, he understands and he doesn't get like angry, he just, he realizes if I ask him to do something or, or he forgot because he's always, sometimes he would forget, but other than that, he's, he shows, yes, Grandma, I'm really deeply sorry, so.
Has he ever been violent towards you?
No.
Ever been violent toward anyone in the family that you've witnessed?
No, Debbie, he's been arguing with, his girlfriend on and off, but just arguing.
Have you witnessed any physical behavior on his behalf?
No.
Okay. Has his mother ever been in his life?
She just recently came back into his life a couple of years.
Okay, so for the most part of his life, was he without his mother?
No, he talks to her, he's giving her a chance to.
So his mother has been in his life up till now, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right, no further questions. I'll pass it.
Any further questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you so much for giving me some insight.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Oh, thank you. I'll call your next witness.
This time if I could call Ignacio Morales.
All right, if you could raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
My name is Ignacio Morales Jr.
All right, you may proceed.
Good morning, Mr. Morales. We spoke briefly, but how do you know the defendant?
He is my brother.
Okay. And would you say that y'all have had a close relationship?
Yes, sir.
Would you say that there's been times where in the minds of you and Daniel, pretty much the only people you really had were you, because you were brothers? Would you say that your upbringing was a bit tough?
Yes.
But would you say that that upbringing was an excuse for any type of violent behavior whatsoever on behalf of you, your brother, or anyone else who was raised in similar circumstances?
Well, there are effects in something like that. The things that me and my brother went through were together, and it might have affected the way we've gotten along when we were younger. Other than that, we love each other.
But you'd agree that regardless of anything y'all have gone through in your past, and we're gonna talk about the program that you're currently in and its potential impact on your opinions here, okay? But you'd agree that nothing that you've dealt with in your past would justify any violence towards any other human beings on planet Earth at any time.
I'm not sure about that question.
Okay. What I'm saying is do you feel that let's just start this specific to you, right? Under what circumstances do you feel that violence is the proper response to verbal provocations?
No.
Any situation you can think of it?
No.
Okay. Now, you're currently in a program here in Bear County, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What's the name of that program?
It's called DSM, Discipleship School of Ministry.
Okay, where's it located?
6131 Days of Olive.
How long have you been involved in that particular program?
About 9 months now, going on 10.
If you could give a brief description of the young man who entered that program about 10 months ago. So in other words, I'm talking about who were you when you walked through those doors? If you were going to describe that person in bullet points, no more than 3, how would you describe that individual?
More than 3.
No more than 3.
I was a drug addict. I was addicted to pornography. I had anger problems.
Okay,
and,
so
was-
drug addict, pornography, anger problems.
Yes, sir.
That's 10 months ago.
Yes, sir.
Today, would you say that you're still struggling with those issues at the level you were 10 months ago?
No, I don't get like urges to watch anything anymore.
Mhm.
But because of I'm also in recovery, so I'm still recovering with all the things that I've watched on drugs,
Mhm.
But from that time period, I have lots of healing. So I don't have any drug cravings. I'm a recovery meth addict. I used to smoke weed. but I've been clean for about 9 months now, going on 10. I haven't had any cravings for almost five months, which is pretty crazy. Because that drug is very hard to not have cravings, if that
Gotcha.
makes sense.
Now, let me, and not to just because we're kind of credit, Dr. Solomon, but we talked about this before, so. But you had mentioned one of them was anger.
Yes,
Let me back up. This program happens to be a faith-based program. Would that be accurate?
yes,
And I asked you a question back there, remember? I had never met you, right? And the question I asked you was, what is a particular, anything you've learned over there as it relates to dealing with quote unquote anger? And you had mentioned a verse in the book of James. You recall that?
yes.
What verse was that in James that you brought up?
I don't exactly remember the exact where it's at, but I can kind of paraphrase it.
That's how most of us are. Most of us
Yeah.
can't remember them specific, just
Talks about being slow to anger, slow to wrath, slow to speak.
And so, would you say that those are the type of impacts that are assisting you with any anger that you may have had from your past?
Yes.
Now, I want you to just briefly, as a person who's actually in this program, okay? Describe the environment in terms of the people that are there.
So the environment, you're around people who have like a similar background, but it's all like love welcoming. And it's a big transition, but it's all with love and peace. Transitioning to roles, for example, leaders, you have a squad leader, storm leaders, kitchen coordinator, all these things that you have to learn how to submit to. But coming from a background of a recovery addict, all of these things, and just falling in. So a lot of people that come in, some of them are not used to having rules, or staying at other people's houses and not submitting to their rules. So when you come in, it's learning how to have discipline again, self-control, receive correction and rebuke, things like that. Waking up early, hygiene. A lot of people are not used to submitting to taking care of their bodies and themselves and loving themselves. So learning how to read, if you don't already know those things, but hygiene, self-control, lots of healing. So not only was I detoxing from drugs, but I was also detoxing from relationships, people.
And I want to stay focused on the relationships and the people. You mentioned two interesting words, and that was how to deal with correction and rebuke.
Yes,
And would you agree that in your past, you and your brother, based on, basically being abandoned by your mother to a certain degree, we're not getting on her, I've met her, she's a great lady. Grandma had to raise you, correct? But you dealt with a lot of correction and rebuke prior to this program, you just dealt with it the wrong way, would that be correct? Would you also acknowledge that correction and rebuke of certain behaviors are necessary for you to be able to stand here today? The meek, mild, and young man with the phenomenal future that you are.
I believe so.
Do you think that a similar programming would assist your brother, given how well you know your brothers?
I don't know any other programs, but I do know the faith-based program.
Well, I'm just saying this one specifically, the one that we're talking about.
Yes, I believe it would help. And the brothers that I've met, compared to their backgrounds, their testimony is like on seeing their transformation as well, not only as mine, as really like opened my eyes too, you know what I mean? And it showed me that I'm not alone. I might not be the worst person, but I also consider myself that I was the worst person, So I've seen the things that it's done. So So
Let me
I
ask you
think-
this, now, one more question. When I had spoken to you earlier, you had made mention of the fact that you felt that the program some kind of a way was calling you, even in the midst of a serious drug addiction. Just a story, you felt like it was calling you to a moment.
Yes,
Let me ask you this. Do you think that this is one of those moments that it called you to?
yes,
I'll pass the witness.
All right, state.
Just a few questions. Mr. Morales, you said that the defendant is your brother, correct? Yes, sir. Have you lived with them? Have you lived with them for most of your life? When's the last time you lived with them?
last time I lived with him. Maybe like a year or two ago, go back and forth.
How has his behavior been as of the last time that you lived together? Towards you and anyone else that was there, the residents?
Well, if I could sum it up, we're brothers, you know, so a brotherly relationship. He'll tell me things what he's going through and ask for advice. And we could relate to, you know, relationship troubles.
Let me ask you this to kind of help you out. Do you feel like you have a good relationship with your brother?
Yes.
You love your brother?
Yes.
Has he ever been violent towards you?
Well, just, you know, he's one of the closest people to me, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So yes, we have had fought before, you know, but
Do you feel he has an anger control issue
towards me.
towards in general?
He might, I used to have one.
All right.
I believe he does.
Do you support your brother?
Yes, sir.
Do you feel like your grandmother supports your brother?
Yes, sir.
This program that you mentioned, who monitors this program that you're in?
That would be, my pastor and, we also have like home directors and, other leaders, but mainly, Pastor Fabian.
Okay, so Pastor Fabian, he's the one who monitors the program. I know you testified that you're going on your 10th month on this program, because you've been clean at the time, so congratulations with that, but overall, how long is the program?
So, phase one, usually that's, I think that's about, 6 months that you would stay in phase one. So you're not allowed to leave like the property. There's no substance drinking, none of that's allowed. There is rules until, there has to be like a behavior change. There has to be some type of progress, there has to be some kind of change, you know, and before you even come in, you have to have a desire to change. And a desire to submit under the program and the rules.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at is if you go into this program, how long are you gonna be in this program?
So that all depends, depending on the person's condition. So usually the phase one from 9 or 6 months. Phase two, you're allowed to, you're still under rules, still under leaders, but you're allowed to start working.
How many phases are there?
There's 1 and 2.
Does this program that you're going through have any way to deal with anger issues?
I believe so.
Does it have any way to control violent tendencies? To deal with those in the program?
I think so.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, any further questions?
Just one, Judge. Following up on, do you agree? There's a flyer for the program. One of it says who we are, and it says who we are not. Which, and under it saying that who we are, it says that we are a family. Would you agree with that?
Yes, yes,
Would you agree that it also says we are a school? Would you agree with that?
yes, sir.
It says that we are a new start. Would
Yes,
you agree with that?
for sure.
Is that what it has been?
Yes,
And when it says what we are not, it says we are not a homeless shelter. So it's not just a place for people to go run and get a roof. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
correct.
We are not a halfway house. It's not a place for people that are halfway in and halfway out, that you actually need to be in. Would you agree with that? And would you agree that it is not a rehabilitation home?
The word rehabilitation?
From the perspective of it's not a detox, it's a fully contextualized new beginning with the quote unquote faith-based.
Yes, I believe so.
Faith-based perspective. Would you agree with those things? And in terms of your new start, do you feel like you've had a new start in life?
I believe so.
And do you believe that new start would be helpful for probably the closest person to you in your life, your younger brother?
Knowing my brother, I believe that it would, because how close I am with him.
Thank you. Nothing further.
All right, thank you. I'll call your next witness.
Oh, yes, sure. At this time, I'd like to call Pastor Fabian. Pastor Fabian and Barbara, I'm sorry.
Hello, could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes,
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Fabian Ibarra.
All right, defense, you may proceed.
Pastor, thank you for being here this morning. When I spoke with you in the back, I asked you a question. I told you I was gonna go talk to Daniel
Yes.
real briefly before we came up here. Remember that?
Yes,
And I said, if there's one thing that you think I should communicate to him, what was that? Right? Do
oh,
you remind, okay, and what was your response to that question?
yes, please forgive me, I know it's not a laughing matter, it's just, but, I also, well, not this year particularly, because we were experiencing a lot of changes and transition in our nonprofit. But, there's a faith-based storm. The TDCJ has a faith-based storm. It's a 6-month faith-based program that has structure. There's a wake-up time, there's class time. We, with Chaplain Sherman there, Chaplain Bugsby, we've covered everything from anger management, strategies for recovery, relapse prevention, biblical studies, hermeneutics, homiletics, 12-step process group. So my response to you was, there's a 6-month faith-based storm in GDCJ, or the same structure in the faith-based storm that we have it here with the DSM. The whole purpose of the DSM is to prevent people from being incarcerated and having to have that sentence weight on them. So that was my response.
So in communicating to the court, the gist of what you had to say was, if the court were to give him that opportunity, he can either do this there's a faith-based dorm in jail, and there's a faith-based dorm up the street from me. I live in the same zip code. Okay, at the DSM, which is this Christian-based ministry. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, just in terms of, we've broken up some of that, that program there, but would you be willing to, if the court were to actually make a condition of his probation being enrollment in this program and successfully completing it, is that something you'd be willing to accept?
I strongly motion that. He's lacking a father, he's lacking structure, he's lacking to be literally part of a family, and he's lacking competencies in learning how to respond to anger instead of react to anger. And so I would be willing, if the court would grant me permission, take him in. I don't know if I'd be able to adopt him, but I'd be able to confront him and love him and provide for him, protect him, and teach him principles and core values that we teach and prescribe there at the program.
And the emotion that I'm sensing in you is just the fact that bottom line is that, this probably better than me, but I'm a defense attorney. There's these programs all over the place. Some of them work, some of them don't. Okay. It's not my opinion, but it's the community's opinion that this is one that's working.
It's proven results. Everett Hunter came in, 20-year heroin addiction. He's married, works full-time at Oak Hills Church. The students who go to our phase 2 program, they get hired from like Oak Hills Church, other ministries. I have one that came in 2019. His name is Gregory Setmore. He 2019 hardcore drug addict, hardcore gang member. And here we are, 2025. He's going to start his 3rd year after this semester of seminary. And he is the board chair at the ministry, and he was just ordained as a pastor. So there's a lot of transformation. I can go on and talk to you about the fruit of the program. But yes, I believe there's transformation that can take place. He has to have The individual has to have and maintain a desire to change, because once he loses that desire to change, there's nothing we can do to actually do that. He'd have to want to engage, maintain the desire to change, have to have and maintain a willingness to surrender, and the blessing from a group of people. He has to have a support system.
And and there's nothing wrong with, obviously, seminary or anything like that, but I mean, but you've also have success stories for people in secular jobs.
Sure.
That are doing things outside of the ministry.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, and then the other thing is too, I recommend while if he does get mandated by the courts there, that's gonna be mandatory, his term to get a GED. And then we have a cohort with the Goodwill for job training. And so he needs to pick up a trade, he needs to learn a trade, and all that stuff can be done there in the program, I believe.
now, it also says you have to, but I want to just look at the schedule real quick, like for stage one, right? So in the morning, they have to be up at 7 a.m., correct?
6:45.
6:45, I'm
Yes.
sorry. And if, let's say one day he rolls out the bed and you say he needs to be up at 6:45 a.m. and he looks at you and says, I'll see you at 9 a.m., what happens?
There's reprimands, there's disciplinary action. We're not gonna scream I'm not gonna scream at him, not gonna yell at him, there's reprimands. We have things, we just covered this last month at our board of directors meeting, there's the rock pile. You wanna throw rocks, okay, you wanna dig holes, there's all that good stuff, but, yeah, so for the tough, we can be tough, for the gentle, we can be gentle. We can become all things to everybody for the sake of winning them over, but yeah, there's a regimen that we follow.
Would he be allowed to leave the campus?
No, not on phase one. Phase one, you're not allowed to leave the premises. There's on-campus visits on Sundays. Phone use is permitted. There's no cell phones. There's no baby mama visits. There's none of that stuff. It's all supervised. On Sundays, there's on-campus visits between 1 and 5. Yeah, between 1 and 5 or 2 and 6.
Now, without giving just a full synopsis, but we had talked about this, we said you helped over 100 people. But what would you say is just one of the things that you're able to facilitate as it relates to an enhanced ability to deal with anger?
Dr. Christian Conte, he's one of the ones that covers anger management. Anger management is covered. We have a licensed counselor that comes in once a week to meet with the students. And we also have a 12-step recovery. It's covered. Some of our board of directors, like Dr. Jeffrey Buck, he does celebrity care. So if you had to be under doctor's care.
And when you say celebrity care, what do you mean by celebrity care?
It's a separate, that's his own personal practice. But he has the licensing to be able to cover, like if he needs to be under the Center for Healthcare Services, or if he still needs to be on certain medications that he's currently on, he would be under a doctor's care that sits on our board of directors.
What else at this moment do you think the judge would need to hear? And I would ask without objection from the other side. They do have some materials. I don't know if the court wants to review those. This is just from the program. These are the schedule I was just going over is in there. Brief overview of it.
If your honor wants to review it, oh, no, this might.
I'm just asking what the court would like to look at.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Well, is there anything else that you think the judge would need to hear? Well, let me back up. So you would be willing if she mandated it, actually you welcome it?
Yes, the last thing I'd like to say is that, yeah, welcome it. He needs to be part of a family. He needs to be restructured. And he needs to understand that if, like earlier, I heard you advocating for somebody else and that's God's grace over your life. But he needs to understand that if the judge is advocating, of the attorney, people are coming in to bear witness of this transition, that if there's a breach, well, then we need to come back to the courtroom and follow up on whatever has to be done because of a breach of the terms and conditions. He can't say he hasn't been loved. He can't say he hasn't tried. He can't say there's no room for error. It's just whatever sentencing has to take place after, if there is a breach. But I'm confident that there won't be a breach contract. If you permit.
I'll pass the leadership.
Yes.
Morning, Pastor.
Hi.
Do you know the defendant, Mr. Daniel Morales?
I've known him, I met him last year and I confronted him. I walked up to him. He's pretty tall.
So you're going on him for less than a year?
Probably last time I saw him was maybe August or September.
Okay, so
something like
we're-
that. Yeah, it was an outreach, because we do outreach from 12 to 3. We partner with Corazon Ministries and other nonprofits to go to our outreach. But I walked up to him, I confronted him, I said, you know what, God's gonna use me in your life, and I don't know how it's gonna happen. I didn't think it was gonna happen like this.
So you're unaware of his behavior other than just that brief encounter?
Yeah, he's come to a couple of the prayer groups, he's shown an interest, like a drawing. But outside of that,
All right, so this program that you've been talking about, what's the accountability for people that mess up along the way? Is there accountability?
oh yes, sir, there's reprimands, there's disciplinary action, extra detail.
What kind of disciplinary actions are there?
Kitchen detail. There's a zero tolerance for fighting, I'll tell you that. So if he lays hands on somebody, that's termination from the program.
Um,
Yeah, we do random UAs.
how long is the program?
The program, and it's a minimum of 6 months. And it could be a maximum from 6 to 9 months for phase 1.
And how long is phase 2?
Phase 2 would be about the same thing. They do the first 90 days. The first 90 days is almost equivalent to like faith-based sober living. And then they have to renew it, because in phase 2, they have to show proof of employment. They have to show proof of their saving income. There's paperwork that they have to fill out. They have to make weekly meetings, chores and community service hours that they have to do as part of the condition for one phase 2. So it could be its first 90 days, but within the first 90 days, they're not showing improvement. That means they got comfortable and they're sitting on the edge, getting ready to be dismissed. So they can be dismissed in phase 2.
Does it have an anger management component to the program?
Yes, it does.
Does it have any type of component to deal with people that have violent tendencies?
Yes.
Okay. Pastor Willis.
Oh, yes.
All right, any further questions?
I should have spoke this way, sorry.
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
I should have spoken that way.
Oh, that's okay. No, I could hear.
Okay,
Thank you. All right, call your next witness.
Your Honor, this sounds like Daniel Morales.
All right, can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
My name is Daniel Morales.
All right, in just one moment. Is the interpreter ready
I'm ready, Your Honor.
with the interpreter?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, and we're off the record, and what is your case about?
Ezekiel Chavez, it's 6 months to do no application.
All right, I'm so sorry. Let me finish this hearing and then I'll take you up next.
We're ready.
All right, thank you.
Judge.
Yes,
Um,
we're back on the record.
Mr. Morales, you've heard all of the testimony prior to this, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you've had that discussion about the need for structure, correct?
Yes, sir.
But you recognize that if this judge were to look kindly on the probation application, that none of that would matter if you do not have a desire for change.
Yes, sir. I understand.
And are you asking the court to grant you probation?
Yes, I am.
And if granted probation, do you understand that there's a multitude of things that you could do that could get you sent to jail for up to 20 years?
Yes, sir. I understand.
You also understand that we know it was a back and forth with the alleged victim. Okay, correct?
Yes, sir.
But you understand that there's no more contact with that person.
There's no more contact.
Y'all don't have any children together,
No.
but you do have a child.
Yes, sir.
And part of when your grandmother, when I was talking to her, but also on your urging, a lot of this is because you don't want your son to be dealing with what you're dealing with right now, correct?
Yes, sir.
But you recognize that you need to actually have some training and accountability to get you to a place where your child can inherit your recovery.
Yes, sir.
So, last question I would have for you is, what does surrender mean to you?
I think surrender, look to me, I think it means change.
You're willing to give up these past ways of reacting to situations you don't like.
Yes, sir.
And you're willing to accept instructions on how to respond to things you may or may not like, correct?
Yeah, I'm willing to change so I can do better for myself, not only for myself, for my son.
I will pass it.
All right, you may proceed.
Mr. Morales, how old is your son?
It's 4, about to be 5.
When your son grows up, if he gets involved in an altercation where he assaults his girlfriend, for example, do you feel like he should be held accountable for doing so? What about if it's his mother? If he assaulted his mother, you think he should be held accountable? Do you think if he threatened someone's life, you think he should be held accountable? I'll pass the witness, Ryan.
Any further questions?
Nothing further, Judges.
I have a few questions. Any objections?
No objection from the state.
All right. So,
And what, for prior judge, we would, in terms of the stipulations that we had tendered to the court, probably should have done this before. Believe those are the same steps that we signed previously with the amendments that we had. Okay.
all right. So this is my concern and what I'm looking at. You have a case from September 16, 2024 with this complainant. And that's pointing a deadly weapon at her, namely a knife. And then you have a case from December 8, 2024. And that's another assaultive behavior against the same complainant, and this time choking her. And all of this is over your breakfast not having ketchup. So number one, what breakfast that you wanted did not have ketchup? This is just for me to know.
The only reason why I brought that up is because I was getting cheated on and
No. So here's the thing. When people cheat on people, you have two choices. One, you forgive them and expect that accept that they're cheating on you. And if they deny it, you either say, okay, they've denied it, I'm gonna let it go. But your choices are either you stay and you accept it or you move on. So back to this ketchup business. So what breakfast were you having that you were so upset that there was no ketchup?
she was upset she didn't have any, and I told her.
No, let me just tell you what the steps read. It says they spoke to the complainant. The complainant stated that they had been arguing since last night. You struck her on the face. And let me see, where is it? Where you told her to let that BAN get ketchup for her.
Yes.
So this was over ketchup. And it was you who wanted the ketchup.
No, I
It says that you wanted ketchup. So what breakfast, was this eggs? It says the complainant stated today they argued because she made breakfast and they did not have ketchup.
I don't eat ketchup with my eggs. She does. And she told me that she didn't have any, so I told her to tell him to go buy it for her.
Yeah. And so how does this turn into you grabbing a knife?
Because she has people knocking at her door and I couldn't defend myself.
Okay, so that's in September. So you grab a knife in September because you can't defend yourself because she has people in whatever category you're talking about. So then the question becomes, if you think she's cheating in September and you're telling her to tell some other guy to get some ketchup for her eggs, and you pull a knife on her because you're afraid of other people she has, then why are you with her in December?
Because when I got out, she told me that she wanted to take me back. And
But no, why would you want to go back? She's cheating on you. She has these other people in some category that you're afraid of, and you have to pull a knife on her. So why would you even go back to her?
because she told me it was just a sugar daddy that is just some old guy who gives her money. I believe it. And
So then we come to the December case. And the December case involves choking. And it says that she didn't immediately report because you're controlling and overhear her conversations and read her text messages. So it says that she contacted the babysitter to see if the babysitter could come by. And when the babysitter came by, she let the babysitter know what was going on. So I'm assuming this complainant you were with has children.
yes, she has children.
And when you say children, how many children?
She has two, a daughter and a son.
And what are their ages?
I think her daughter was 2 and her son was 6.
2 and 6?
Yes.
All right, so you all are having these children see violence in the household, 2 and 6. You think she's cheating? She says she's not. Then she tells you it's a sugar daddy and you're okay with that, which means you're okay with her doing whatever she does to get money, according to you, from a sugar daddy. And where was your child in all of this? This child that now you need to be there for and you want them to see different things. Where were they?
I was still seeing him every day, and she didn't like it because she thought I was talking to the mother of my child.
And that's the other thing. Why would you be with somebody who you think is cheating on you, who has friends in categories that you feel you have to defend yourself with a knife by placing a knife on her, who then tells you it's a sugar daddy, and to top it all off, she really doesn't want you around your own child? Why would you be with that person?
Because I made a mistake, and
Nope, these are choices. These are not mistakes.
yes, it was my choice, and my choice turned into a mistake.
All right. And what's with this tattoo on the face?
It used to say her name, but I covered it up to my brother who passed away.
All right. So, and then you get her name tatted on your face. So you get her name tatted on your face. Don't even have your son's name tatted on your face.
No, I have it on.
As a side note, this is what I always tell people. When you're getting tattoos of people's names, these are your best options. Your mother, because your mother's supposed to always love you, and your children. Getting names of females or males, never a good idea. And what's with this San Antonio tattoo? Do you love San Antonio that much that you need that tattoo? What's that about?
I was born here.
Oh, a lot of people are born here, but they don't have a San Antonio. How many people are born here in were you born in, do you have a San Antonio
I
tattoo?
have no tattoo.
I don't either, Judge.
So what's
but
that really
I love
about?
San
I
Antonio.
recently started getting tattoos, so I like how tattoos are.
And then it says 210.
Just
Yeah, what's going on with the tattoo?
like I said, it's just where I'm from.
All righty. Is that your story? You know, you stick to your story.
Yes, ma'am.
What's that tattoo about?
Like I said, it's just where I'm from.
Alrighty.
Well, I don't know, for me.
Oh, no. You can ask whatever questions you want to ask counsel.
The environment in which you were raised, I think you probably get to what the court may be alluding to.
Look, are you a gang member?
No,
So why do you have that tattoo?
And if I could,
Sure.
and if you did, if it would be more along the lines of like thousands of people in San Antonio are posers. For example, there's thousands of people in San Antonio who unknowingly have, for example, the Michael Jordan Jumpman design on their arms because they think it's cool around other people, not understanding what connotation that has with actual gang members who are danger to this society and probably shouldn't be here. You understand that, but as basically a kid, how old were you when you got this tattoo?
I got it about a year ago.
Okay, so how old were you?
I was 21.
Okay, so as a 21-year-old, not fully understanding the ramifications of certain things, you personally just thought it was cool. It had nothing to do with you being a gang member.
No, I just got it because I started getting tattoos.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Stay just argument.
All right. All right. In each of the cases, the court does, I don't think you're a good candidate for probation. Unless the complainant is going to walk in here and says that she wants you to have probation, it's not happening. I'm going to find you guilty in each cause number. You all have,
Your Honor, were we able to make the argument or support just?
I'm finding him guilty. You all can make an argument as it relates to the cap. All right, so it's a cap of 5. The court will hear argument.
In support of Kappa 5, Your Honor, the defendant has a long violent history. Essentially, since 2020, he's picked up violent offenses. In 2020, he got a cleansing assault. I was unable, since it's a city offense, to determine the facts of it, but I do know that he served 5 months deferred. In 2021, he had a misdemeanor, ABI family violence, that he did an 8-day JSAT on. The following year, 2022, he picks up another Class C assault that he does 5 months probation on. 2023, a terroristic threat, family violence, that he does 8 months deferred adjudication on. And then these two, all within the same year that we're here for today. There are actually 3 cases, one's being TIC as part of the plea, but I feel that because of this defendant's long violent history, he is not a candidate for probation and that prison would be the most appropriate option for him.
All right, defense.
Your Honor, we would ask the court to consider the lower end of the cap on this case, which is 2 years. He's expressed a lot of contrition Of course, in these cases, there are always, but what we would say in terms of the complainant, we guess we would renew this motion to the court. My understanding is that the state, that the complainant has moved out of state and that they weren't here. So if the court would give us time to possibly get an investigator to try to bring her in, or at least see if she has an issue with probation, we would ask the court's leave to possibly do so with the reset. But if the court is not so inclined to allow for the state to try to reach her, or for us to reach her, we would ask the court to come in on the lower end of the range here. He understands that there were things he could have done differently. We're also very, very careful in making sure that we're not blaming the quote unquote victim in any way in these situations. But what we will say is that she was a much older than the defendant. There was a significant amount of manipulation, but again, which is why we presented that evidence to the court. We believe that he didn't have the background to be able to develop the ability to react in a way that would be within the guise of the law, as opposed to ways that could be construed as criminal offenses. Given his age, given the support structure that he has, we would ask the court to come in we would ask the court to give him a sentence of 2 years on this case. And we would also ask the court if the court would be willing to maintain jurisdiction over the case if the court were inclined to give him anything over 2 years.
All right. And each cause number, the court, as previously stated, is finding you guilty. The court will sentence you to 5 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. There's a $1,500 fine, time and money to run concurrent. There's an affirmative finding of family violence in each cause number. There's to be no contact with the complainant. Taking consideration 2025 CR 002680. There's to be no unsupervised contact with minors. There's to be no residing with any household that has minors. And our request the therapeutic community in each cause number. In each cause number, did you review the documents entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, because these are plea bargain agreements, because I followed your plea bargain agreements, because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have your court's permission to appeal. Because these are felony convictions, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we can go off the record. Counsel, I'll retain jurisdiction. We'll see how he does.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Good luck to you.
Thank you.